Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
Did they just say 20 degrees? Let's see, so that's with the wind chill factor. The wind's blowing 20 to 30 miles per hour. That means it's really cold.
It's cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
This is the day to put on the coat and gloves. Well, listen, standing by on the Newsmaker hotline is our good friend Larry Kudlow, host of the Kudlow Report on CNBC and the Larry Kudlow Show on WMAL, heard Saturdays at 7 p.m. Hey, Larry, good to see you and good to hear you.
Good morning.
All right, so the president gave his big speech yesterday, his big inauguration address. I didn't hear anything about reducing the debt and the deficit, and everything that I heard sounded like it's going to be expensive.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, he never mentioned growth, by the way. I mean, the economy, this is the worst recovery in modern history going back to 1947. You're just barely running at 2% growth. He never mentioned growth. He never mentioned jobs. He never mentioned unemployment. I mean, those are the real aspirations of people, is to be successfully employed and start working their way up the ladder of success. And, of course, he defended the big entitlement programs. And I thought, in general, it was a big government, very left-liberal speech, surprisingly so, surprisingly confrontational. I didn't hear him put out any olive branches to the Republicans with whom he's going to work. So it was not a bipartisan speech. And I hated that word, that phrase, collective action. He used that phrase, collective action. I mean, that's old-time socialist collectivism, used to be practiced by certain countries that we were at war with for many years. I mean, I was just stunned by the leftness of this speech.
Yeah, Larry, I'm glad you pointed that out. We've been focusing on that cut. Let's play it really fast for the listeners.
Our celebration of initiative and enterprise, our insistence on hard work and personal responsibility, these are constants in our character. But we have always understood that when times change, so must we. That fidelity to our founding principles requires new responses to new challenges. That preserving our individual freedoms ultimately requires collective action.
Larry Kudlow, what does that say to you?
You know, the Founding Fathers talked brilliantly about the pursuit of happiness. And what I heard Mr. Obama basically imply yesterday is that the pursuit of happiness is the pursuit of equality of result, not the equality of opportunity, but the equality of result, and that he would do what he could to use the government to make everybody more equal in terms of their income and their, life's work. And that is exactly wrong. I mean, we should be rewarding success. We should be promoting entrepreneurship. We should be promoting, individual effort and opportunity. And I didn't hear that. I didn't hear an opportunity speech. I heard an income leveling speech.
You know what we've been hearing this morning? We didn't even ask for it, and we've heard it a couple of times already this morning from people who've called into the program. People are looking at their paychecks, and they're noticing that they're notably smaller. And they're saying, you know what this means? That car that I was about to buy, I'm not going to be able to buy. I just don't have it in my budget. It's starting to happen.
Well, there is that. I mean, the payroll tax expiration probably hurt some in the short run. I do want to say on that particular point, the payroll tax cut didn't do us a lot of good. It was a short-term, non-permanent, really a rebate, okay? We did it twice. And down through the years, rebates had never worked. George Bush used 2 rebates. In the middle, he had tax rate cuts, which worked. But his 2 rebates in 01 and 08 did not work. Rebates in the 1970s did not work. No, what I'm saying is, I know you're right, and I think there's a little sticker shock here. But I don't think people ever spent that money because it wasn't permanent, and they knew that. And I don't think it's going to have a major impact on the economy going forward.
I think they got used to having it in their paycheck, and they did spend it. I think that's human nature.
Well, maybe so, but I don't see any data for it. I mean, the personal consumption kept growing at 2%. It didn't rise. The economy kept growing at 2%. It didn't rise. So I just don't believe that temporary rebates work. I do think, however, the message here is that upper-income, successful people's taxes are going to go up some more. I mean, I think that was a clear. I think redistributionism from those who have done well to those who have not done well is going to be a staple of the second term, and I think he's going to do that at the expense of trying to fix the finances of this country, which are heading towards bankruptcy, regarding the very entitlements that Mr. Obama apparently wants to protect. And I think he's thrown a big monkey wrench into the whole negotiations that are coming up regarding entitlements and regarding spending and regarding deficits and regarding debt. I mean, he never went down that road.
What about
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is about freedom. It's about economic freedom. It's about the freedom to succeed. I don't see him as saying that yesterday. I didn't hear that from him yesterday. I think he's saying, yeah, we'll give you freedom, but we're going to use the government as the great income leveler, and I don't like that one bit.
Hey, Larry, we only have about a half a minute, but I'm curious what your impression is of the Republicans stating that they're probably going to go ahead for a 3-month extension on the debt ceiling in exchange for the Senate coming forth with a budget. What do you think?
I think on the whole it's a wise move. I don't want to mess with the debt ceiling, and I don't want to mess with default. But I want to say this. In this process, the Republicans must go through, they must stand foursquare behind the $1.2 trillion spending sequester. They must not give up on that deal that was made in late 2011. And if the GOP does not come away with substantial spending cuts, their base is going to walk away in 2014, and they may risk losing the House. So spending cuts is the most important issue right now, and frankly, it's an economic growth issue, because the smaller the government, the stronger the economy.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.